Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Lesson Known Classics. This is episode number 3126, Doubleshot number 3018. Actually, 3020, excuse me. First up we have is Doctor Doom by Christopher Chantwell, Volume 2, Bedford Falls. Yep, this is a very fun book. Yeah, this book contains issues 6 through 10 of the short-lived Doctor Doom ongoing series. Yeah, basically, we kind of go through Doctor Doom's life. He actually comes out of hell and basically tries to fight over his country. Eventually, he does. And he's met by, basically, when he comes back to Latveria in the snow, he's led by a group led by his adopted son, Kristen Ballard, who has got a beard now. And, of course, his champion, Victorious. And of course, he takes the guy who was temporarily to take over Doomstead, and he takes back control, writes in his diary. Lots of really good connection stuff here, and the fact you can see a version of himself where he's basically fully healed. This book is just fantastic. It's a shame Marvel axed this book has only 10 issues, though the kind of story continues a little bit over the pages of Dan Slott's Fantastic Four, where they built up Doctor Doom's wedding. We actually have Samaria's Herald until it's found out they had the wedding. She cheated on him with Johnny Storm, which also had Johnny Storm's romance with an alien girl. Yep. Of course, currently Doctor Doom is now the source 3 in the Marvel Comic Universe. But this book, fantastic. I give this book a 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on this short-lived title. It's a shame this book didn't get a lot of love from readers. Like, this book is just really good. Christopher Chantwell chose the fact he's an excellent writer. You can probably see the fact reading it's like, wow, no wonder Marvel chose to do one of the best Iron Man runs in years. Yeah, that's how good this book is. Yeah. They do kill an Ultra Doctor Doom here, who was appearing in the book, and Blue Mar was in the book too. He first appeared in issue 1, and then they kill him off for the final issue. Side with the Rocket does the artwork here. Now, Christopher Chantwell, aside from doing this book, I think this was his first book he did for Marvel. No, he did first one he did was War of the Realms, War Scrolls. Yep. That was the first book he worked on. He worked on A Rose for Victor, which they decided not to collect in this book for some reason, not sure why. And after doing the Iron Age 2020, which I think was an Aftermath story, at least an anthology book, then he got Iron Man while doing this book. I think maybe that's the reason why they axed this book at 10 issues, because Iron Man was doing so well under him. Heck, even the King in Black book featuring these two teaming together. Yeah. So, of course, he also did the Anti-Captain America, which I have discussed already. He did Obi-Wan Kenobi book, Iron Man Hellcat Annual. You're like, wow, this guy is really good. He did Namor Conquered Shores book. He did Sword for Death Notes, Go Goblin, a Hellcat miniseries. The most recent thing he worked on was a volume for Thanos, which we'll discuss in the future, but I discussed almost everything the guy has written for Marvel. The last thing he wrote for Marvel was the miniseries Thanos. Yes. Which for some reason they continued the story over in the Thanos third annual. Which he did right. That was Derek Landry wrote that. Yeah. And this is quite interesting. I've reviewed almost everything the guy has done for Marvel Comics. Yeah, pretty much just everything. Let me check and see if Iron Age has been collected yet. I think it has. Oh, it's collected in Rebel Revolution Force Works. Yeah, that's basically where the one-shot's collected. So I discussed that already. You're like, okay. So, what about War of the Realms, War Scrolls? Let's see. Issue 3 was reprinted in... Oh, it was collected in this book. Interesting. Yeah, it was collected in this book. I think it was. Apparently it was, along with the Doctor Doom one-shot, which is interesting. Actually, no, it was collected in the main trade paperback, the big collected edition. Yeah, that's where basically it is. I might take a look at that in the future, but you're like, why don't we check out a big collected edition, a book we discussed already? Well, I'll probably discuss those two short stories, those two books. I might do that. But is there anything else about Chris Chan we haven't covered yet? Well, Road Trip, I think this has been collected in trade. Yeah, I've already discussed that already, so let's see. So, what is left? Aside from this two stuff that he started out with, I've already done Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'd say maybe Marvel vs. Pride. I don't know what story he did. Let's see. Stay out of my jerk mind. Oh, it's a version of Moondragon. Oh, they covered it in Free Comic Case 2023, so let's see. I would probably say you'll have to go for him aside from his two short stories that came prior to this one. Is Namor Conquered Shores and the Thanos miniseries. So like 2 miniseries and a couple one-shots. That's all that's have to go for him. I don't know why he's not working for Marvel anymore. Last book came out just last year. And I'm looking at basically go for ongoing. He only did 2 ongoings at Marvel. Just this and Iron Man. And the Iron book was fantastic. It never had a bad issue. Though he didn't write the last issue. No, he did not. Yeah, for some reason, the last issue, that was... Okay, he did write that one. Okay, so that was $6.50. Yeah, he did write that one. But I've discussed pretty much almost everything he's worked on. So, that's probably going to be... I'm probably going to do the complete collectish just to cover his first story and his... I don't think I've discussed King of Black, Iron Man, Doctor Doom. I don't think I have. Okay, that book I've discussed King of Black Avengers, but I still might get that one, just discuss both books probably again. But there's that there. Next up we have is Champions by Jim Zed, Volume 2, Give and Take, which this book here collects issues 7 through 10 of Champions, Volume 3. Yep, 7 through 10. Written by Jim Zeb, artwork here by Stephen Cummings. So, in these issues, in issue 7, we start up with Miss Marvel flown home by Viv Vision. So basically, the thing of dying in Brazil, of course, she gets dropped off. There's a mention of what happened in the previous volume, where she merged with Viv Vision 2.0. And then we have Sam here with the woman who doesn't like him very much. The mentions of the first Sam's first volume is Nova, which you'll come think of Nova. They've never officially wrapped up. Like they kind of reenacted the story of him searching for his father to find out the person he found was not actually his father; it was actually a clone. They never found out where his father was. No, you think basically they basically solved it, but not really. That's kind of the weird thing related to Sam, is that we have this story for him with the whole thing of him basically looking for his father, and you would think basically they would have resolved it by now, but no. It's like What? Did the writers of Marvel just completely forget about this plot idea? I mean, last time we kind of saw him was issue 29. But the thing is, they never found him. You think they found him, but that was retcon. Nope, it was a freaking clone. Yeah. And then they never bothered to resolve this plot thread. No, seriously. They never bothered at all. I don't know exactly why. It is by far one of the most strangest things related to Nova. It's like, okay, we reignited this plot idea of him looking for his father, and the story is never finished. And then when all of us, because Vigilante pick, we give him a team up book together, and then the book gets axed at 7 issues due to low sales. Despite the fact Marvel actually did what they wanted it to do, bring back Richard Red, they basically begged Marvel for that. So they fly to the base operation for Nova Corps, Spirit of Xandar. Xandar was destroyed during Annihilation, so they're basically based here now. So they kind of have to suck breath in, and they kind of break into the walls that way. I mean, she can kind of breathe in space, but Sam can't wear his helmet, so then they knock out 2 guards. And then they steal their helmets. Like, oh, hi, guys. Yep. And then Jerry Duggan's character, Scott Axett, basically is here, and he's informed of what's happening here. And they're like, oh, yeah, we found out where his helmet is. Which, of course, according to Scott, they had no idea how the heck thing worked. So, and then, of course, basically, they stumble across the Champion's mobile carrier, which has been damaged. Here for inspection, of course, they bring it to the facility with the Champion stuff, and of course, well, they have stuff going on there. The Sam's not found more interesting. Of course, Sam returns her with his helmet. And goes, yeah, time to fight. Yep. And then the Nova Corps shows up, and they're like, take Kendra away. Just goes, but you gotta take him out, not this time. You want to do it the hard way? You already told me you can't figure out how to unlock the Black Nova helmet power, but I can't. It responds to me. It is meant for me. If you try to take it, I'll kick your butt. Okay, keep it for now, but this isn't over. And you might be curious, though. Do we see him again? I mean, does he pop up over years? By the way, this came back in 2019, these issues. Yeah, 2019. I mean, do we see him ever again after these Champion issues wrap up? Nope. Because after issue 8, he's never seen again. What about Nova Corps themselves? Well, that's something else altogether. Well, after this appearance in Champions, they later got disbanded during Al Ewing's run for Guardians of the Galaxy. Yep, they disbanded. Yeah, they kind of last appeared in this book in issue 7, where that was last time they were seen. They have not been seen since then. What happened to them is a complete mystery. Eventually, of course, basically, like, they kind of were eliminated thanks to the Guardians of the Galaxy Annual. And now we're down to like one Guardian left for reasons? Yeah, this was revealed during Annihilation's Scourge story. Like, okay, Marvel, so you brought back the Guardians just to do not much with them. No, seriously. You bring him back after a few years. You bring him back. Yeah, they were brought back in an issue of the Free Comic Day issue in 2017. Yeah, in 2017. And after... And then by the time that Al Ewing took over the book, the Guardians were pretty much gone. So, after being back for 3 years, Marvel gets rid of him again. Probably because nothing to really do with him. And then, of course, basically we have, looks like that Ironheart shot the Vision. And the Champions had to fight Ironheart because she's being possessed by something, and of course Miss Marvel gets involved in the two with Miles, and then eventually like Brawling comes in after his time with Age of Atlas. This is probably just after the little mini series because they placed the appearances for him, and eventually they kind of sorted out because some goat demon possessing him, and of course basically we have a brawl in the final issue of the book where we have 4 of the founding members of the Champions. In the final issue of the book, all fighting basically the rest of the team. Yep. Oh, they're in control of Blackheart, so Camilla rejoins the team along with Spider-Man, of course. And they would Blackheart by the end of the book. And that's it. Yeah. That's the end of the volume. After beating Blackheart, everyone's freed and kind of restore back to normal. What happens to this particular lineup after this? Would they evolve the next volume of the book? Red Locust, yes, she was. She was definitely part of the next lineup. What about Dust? Did she stay with the Champions after this book wrapped up? No, I don't think she did. I'm checking here about that. Let's see. Okay, so after this book wrapped up, well, she did appear a few issues of the next volume. Then she appeared in Legion of X, and well, she's not currently appearing in Marvel Comics right now. Joaquin Torres, who actually just returned in the movie. Actually, his movie debut recently in Brave New World. After this book wrapped up, he of course appeared in a couple issues next volume, and then he appeared in the Symbol of Truth book, Sam's book, and then he appeared in a couple issues of Sam Wilson Captain America book, and that's kind of been it for him. Bombshell! The woman who should be Miles' girlfriend, even though for some reason he's dating the granddaughter of Tombstone. Because here's the thing. Before Bendis left, he had her and Miles become a couple. And then as soon as he left, this relationship was completely ignored, and then it was never mentioned in the South Album run. Never mentioned. It's like them being a couple was never. It just Marvel just pretended it did not happen at all. She of course is part of the next volume for the book, and now she's in digital stuff. Power Man. Yeah, second Power Man. Did he stay with next volume too? Like, he's a cool character. I like Power Man. The second one. Yeah, and also, yes, I do know the fact that his suit was used for Luke Cage in the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show. For reasons. So, once this volume wrapped up, he of course appeared in a couple issues of the next volume. A couple issues of Black Panther. He was part of a volume for Thunderbolts, an issue of the current volume Incredible Hulk, and the most recent appearance actually was in Power Man Timeless. Yep. Riri. Like, did she stay with next volume of the book too? She did. So I'll probably discuss the rest of them later. But Miles, of course, Miles still has a book now. He's the only member of the Champions who has a freaking book. Camilla doesn't. She did have a couple of volumes when she was mutant, and that's been it for her. Yeah. Braun, I'll discuss more basically with these characters later on, but yeah. But that's the end of the volume in a nutshell. That's the end of Jim Zeb's time on Champions. Yep. What happened next? The incoming one-shot, which I'll discuss that with next trade, and quite possibly one of the most despised recent storylines of all time, Outlawed. I'll discuss another time, but this book, the whole thing with Fisto being involved, it's like, yeah, that's virtually ignored. It's like these last few issues, basically, it's like Jim Zeb was undoing stuff from the previous line, with the whole thing with Sam being not being Nova anymore, which I'm glad I fixed that. And then a Blackout show up, and that's kind of it. It just ends. And then the book got relaunched because of Outlawed. And Eve Ewing, who wrote the Ironheart book, she takes over the title. But don't worry, I'll be back basically with this book. Don't worry about that. So that's pretty much it for this particular review. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. And I'll see you on the bit. I might be going on tape, but I haven't heard anything yet. Okay, thanks for you. Bye.